Now, ever since Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau triggered a diplomatic storm by claiming India's involvement in the killing of pro-Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, there appears to be no end in sight to the diplomatic standoff between the two nations. The Trudeau government was forced to withdraw 41 diplomats after India's demand for parity in diplomatic presence. The decision has naturally not gone down well with Canada. Canada has accused India of violating the Vienna Convention on diplomatic relations. The Canadian Prime Minister says this could have far-reaching consequences on the diplomatic world. But wait. Now, the External Affairs Minister gave a point-by-point rebuttal to Justin Trudeau. Citing the Vienna Convention, the Dr. S. Jaishankar said the relevant international laws provide for parity in diplomatic presence, and India is extremely concerned about Canada's continued interference in India's internal affairs. Listen in.
This is a violation of the Vienna Convention governing diplomacy. This is them choosing to contravene a very fundamental principle of international law and diplomacy.
Parity is very much provided for by the Vienna Convention, which is the relevant international rule on this.
The government of India decided to cancel, to revoke the diplomatic protections of 40 diplomats working in Canada, working in India. This is something that has far-reaching consequences for the diplomatic world that I know many countries are very worried about.
In our case, we invoked parity because we had concerns about continuous interference in our affairs by Canadian personnel. We haven't made much of that public. My sense is over a period of time, more stuff will come out.
The Indian government is making it unbelievably difficult for life as usual to continue for millions of people in India and in Canada. And they're doing it by contravening a very basic principle of diplomacy.
We stopped issuing visas in Canada because it was no longer safe for our diplomats to go to work to issue visas. So their safety and security was the primary reason we had to temporarily stop the issue of visas.
However, Canada's tirade has found endorsement among members of the Five Eyes Alliance, especially with the UK and the United States of America. The United Kingdom says it does not agree with the Indian government's decision, and the removal of immunity is not consistent with the Vienna Convention. The US State Department has also said it's concerned with the departure of Canadian diplomats and said that they urge India not to insist on reduction of Canada's diplomatic presence. But does India's action violate international laws? Well, let's see. The Indian government is quoting Article 11 of the Vienna Convention, and here's what it states. In the absence of specific agreement as to the size of the mission, the receiving state may require that the size of a mission be kept within limits considered by it to be reasonable and normal, having regard to the circumstances and conditions in the receiving state and to the needs of a particular mission. So while Canada calls India's move a violation of international laws, the Vienna Convention lays it out in black and white that the host country is empowered to determine the size of a mission. In the absence of a specific agreement as to be the size of the mission, the receiving state may require that the size of a mission be kept within limits considered by it reasonable and normal. This is what the Vienna Convention's law states. So while Canada can rant out that India is violating international laws, India has with proof the Vienna Convention to back its claim.